Kirby's Adventure is the most important game of the Kirby franchise. This was the game that introduced Kirby's signature copy abilities, where he can suck on enemies and harness their powers in order to stop the demonic entity of the weak. And as for being a late NES title, one of the last games released for the system by the way, this game looks gorgeous, and it's easily one of the best looking games on the system. As for everything else, okay, if I'm playing this game, I would rather play either the GBA remake, Nightmare in Dreamland, or play the superior port on the 3DS under the 3D Classics collection, which basically fixes almost every problem I have with this game. However, because 3DS games don't have RetroAchievements yet, and I can't do the remake until I master the original, I guess I'll just have to suck it up and master the NES version of Kirby's Adventure by getting all 60 achievements, which is possible by using the RetroAchievements website, which allows you to get achievements for your favorite retro games from the NES to the PlayStation 2, with everything in between, and also achieving it while playing through hardcore mode in order to master this game. So this set has very similar achievements to the one from Kirby's Dreamland. Damageless boss achievements, certain level specific achievements, and even beat the extra mode of this game. But this set now has the introduction of minigame achievements, finding secret switches throughout the game in order to 100%, and we also have the introduction of copy ability achievements, where we must acquire every copy ability the game has to offer. And I'm not gonna lie, writing the script was very difficult, mainly because since I don't make these videos as walkthroughs, trying to write at least one sentence for every level that is just to get to the end and that's it was pretty challenging. So be sure to like and subscribe for more RetroAchievement content. I'm Jonathan Wolf, and I'm on a quest to prove to the world that I'm good at video games by mastering retro games. And let's begin our mastery for Kirby's Adventure on the NES. The story of this game is that in Dreamland, there are no dreams. I know, ironic. And as Kirby visits one of the dream springs, he learns that King Dedede is bathing in the Fountain of Dreams and has stolen the Star Rod and broke it into pieces and giving a piece to his toughest minions. So it's up to Kirby to retrieve and repair the Star Rod and return dreams to Dreamland. So unlike the last game where we have 5 distinct levels, this game features 7 worlds with many levels to go through. However, almost all levels in this game last around 3 to 5 minutes, and most of them are just a straight path to the end with no secrets whatsoever. So for this video, I'm going to try to give attention to all stages, but if I just talk past a level that is not that engaging, don't blame me. I'm trying not to have these videos last hours. And with that said, as usual, if you want to see my full mastery, check the archives channel. So starting off with World 1, Vegetable Valley, we have Stage 1, where we get to adjust our controls because I am not using Circle and X as A and B respectively. Ew, no, get it out of here. So after changing the controls, we get some new abilities like Beam after inhaling this What'll Do, Spark from this Sparky? Really? That's his name? And Fire from this Hothead. Now you may notice that I just glossed over the abilities, and the reason for that is because every ability in this game, with the exception of 4 of them, only have one move, which at the end of the day is really not worth going over just because of the simplicity of the abilities. That said, when we get to future Kirby games that have more elaborated ability movesets, I'll still do the same I'm doing here, since part of the fun about making these videos is trying to convince you and trying out the abilities or masteries yourself. So going back to level 1, we go through this secret entry in this waterfall in order to get a very special ability. Continue, let's go over here and get the... Ow. Oh, I missed it? Really? Okay, cool. So after that blunder, we go to the final door, which is signified by the stars surrounding it, and we play a goal game where we need to press the A button at the right time so that we can get to the highest point and get a 1-up for your good timing, which I managed to get on the first try, which is honestly impressive. And by getting to the top, we will get ourselves an achievement. Now before heading into stage 2, I return to 1-1 to get the UFO for a specific achievement. Only for the damn saucer not spawning. So after resetting the freaking game, I entered the secret and managed to get the most broken ability in the game, as well as the bonus achievement for getting the UFO copy ability in 1-1. 1-2, we get more abilities like Cutter, and we get to use it on our first mini-boss, the returning Poppy Brothers Sr. And he works the same as the Game Boy title, where he jumps around and chucks bombs. And by defeating him, we get the powerful Crash, which acts as a screen nuke that also causes seizures because holy god, I forgot how bad the flashing was. And as we arrive at the end, we get the Sword ability, which is the first non-UFO ability that has more than one move. It has 2, but at least it's not 1. Now before we head into stage 3, we return once again to 1-2 and defeat the Sir Kibble, and then go around this platform so that we can make the warp star go off screen. And after some time, the warp star will actually despawn, and you can actually go beyond the star and encounter the very first Howl Room of the Kirby franchise, which will net us another achievement. 1-3 is another simple stage, and here's where we get to my favorite ability in the game, Fireball, or burning in future games. And the reason for it is because it has a lot of range, may hit for multiple hits against certain bosses, and it is the only ability that doesn't want me to die, since even with the input delay of this game, this ability fires, no pun intended, instantly. 1-4, we have our next mid-boss, the twerking walrus, Mr. Frosty, which literally spawns ice blocks out of his ass and chucks them at you. And once you defeat him, we'll get Freeze, which works similar to Spark, but with the added bonus that you can freeze enemies and chuck their frozen corpse towards enemies. And after having fun in the snow, we collect Needle, and then we get a gift from a mysterious masked man and go hyper to the end of the stage. And now we have the first major boss, the returning Wispy Woods. This is one of Diddy's toughest minions, by the way. And just like Kirby's Dream Land, we have the grand return of damageless achievements. Oh boy. However, because of the nature of this game, we also have the extra challenge of not using copy abilities, with the exception of 3 fights, which we'll get into later. That said, Wispy does have the same moveset as the Game Boy title, with the added benefit that his nose doesn't do damage anymore. But besides that, this boss is very easy, with or without abilities. So once we defeat the evil tree and collect a piece of the Star Rod, we move on to World 2, Ice Cream Island. 2-1, we have these nuts, except not really, since the game calls them coconuts, but come on, they just look like nuts. And in this room, we can get the Parasol ability, which has a really cool passive ability, if I can show it, that is. But continuing on, we also get Tornado, which is one of my favorite abilities in the series, mainly because of its invincibility frames while you spin like a maniac. 2-2, we have another mid-boss, the Grand Wheelie, and by defeating it, we get Wheel, which is a really fun ability, if we could jump while rolling around at the speed of sound. 2-3 is not very eventful, except for this secret that contains goodies and a very, very amazing highlight. And oops. So after that amazing display of my abilities as a gamer, after exiting the cave, we have our very first Meta Knight's Ambush, where we need to dispose of the enemy forces in order to continue. You can use abilities if you want, but because with copy abilities, enemies take more hits to kill, the best advice for these encounters is to just suck and blow. That sounded better on my head. 2-4 is the stage that reminded me why I don't like the NES version of this game. Oh my god! Completely stun locked because I'm gonna die again, aren't I? Yeah, that's actually another annoying aspect when it comes to this game, and that's the fact that you can get stun locked by specific... Oh my god, okay. But besides that atrocity, we can get stoned and become invincible to everything and take down a Clockman and get Mike. A less powerful Crash, but one that you can actually use 3 times instead of 1. And after testing Mike, we also grab the Laser ability, which is a cool weapon since it can travel through angles and hit higher targets. Finally, we have 2-5, where we can inhale 2 wheelies at the same time and get the Mix ability, which starts a roulette and will give you a random ability, in my case being High Jump, which I'm not going to use until later in this same stage. But for now, let's grab Wheel and dump it immediately in order to get the greatest ability of the series, Sleep. And once we finish a simulation of my real everyday life, we drive through the Gordo for some secrets and try to fireball through this room until we get to this room where we need to use High Jump in order to blast through these blocks and reach the top. The boss of World 2 is the Paint Roller, where we once again have a damageless and ability-less achievement. Paint Roller can be difficult mainly due to its movement, but there's a very easy tactic. So the gimmick of Paint Roller is that he will move to the 4 different canvases on the arena and draw a hazard to attack you. And as you start the battle, you can hit Paint Roller 4 times without problem. But once you hit him the 4th time, after he draws, there's a high chance that he will instantly move to another canvas. And for this part, I highly suggest you do not stick near him, but also wait for him in the bottom floor, as you will have more time to react to his movement, and as long as you take your time and don't get greedy, you'll be able to defeat this mid-artist and get the next Star Rod piece damageless. World 3, we arrive at the Butter Building, where we have the cool concept of climbing this huge tower. And World 3 is the very first world where we have levels where we have secret buttons that we need to get not only for achievements, but also in order to get 100% completion in this game. And also, fun fact, from this point, every world will have 6 levels and a boss. 3-1, we refight Mr. TikTok, that's actually his name, believe it or not, and use Mike to cross this hall. And once we pass this door, we'll see our first switch, which we can get access by going down here and entering this door. And by activating the switch, we'll open an extra door, which is usually an arena, minigame, or museum, but also get an achievement for flipping our first switch of the game. Now, even though this world introduces the switches, not every level has them. And if a level has a switch, it only has one. And you can tell if a level has a switch or not, since by finishing a level, if the level door is white, it means you got the switch or there isn't one. But if the door is still orange, when you beat the level, it means you missed a switch. 3-2, we continue climbing as we have multiple treacherous rooms, including running around the outside with a really cool transition with the illusion that you're going around the building, which is pretty cool. And as we keep going, we get the ice ability, which is different from freeze, but same in concept. And we can use this power to defeat Bugsy and get the the backdrop ability, where you can grab enemies and wrestle them to death. 3-3 is another short stage with a pretty cool ending as we have this room that has 2 versions, which I do like. But other than that, very simple. Except for this room with the 1-up, because there's no better gimmick than being a cheap gimmick. Now, before moving to 3-4, I return to the arena and defeat this Grand Wheelie damageless and abilityless for an achievement, which is very odd since this is the only arena boss that has a achievement tied to it. 3-4 is a stupid short level with another Meta Knight's ambush and a draft at the end. 3-5, we go hyper and fight Bonkers in order to get Hammer, the greatest ability and my favorite ability in the Kirby franchise. Not this game though, this one kinda sucks. 3-6, we can use angles with the laser, and once we arrive on the outside room, we destroy these blocks and enter a quick puzzle, where you need to destroy the bomb block and make it to the other side before you get blocked. And if you manage to pull through, you'll get the next switch and the final one of World 3. And once we activate the button, we have this dark room where we get the light ability, which has the incredible feature of giving light to a whopping 2 rooms in the entire game. And once we reach the top of the building, we have the boss, where we go above the heavens and fight the sun and the moon. Mr. Shine and Mr. Bright is a really cool gang fight, where both enemies have health bars of their own, but not that much in health. Both Misters have the same attacks when on the ground, those being a dash attack and a projectile, Mr. Shine being a fireball and Mr. Bright a boomerang. However, when one of them is on the air, it will do a stationary attack that will spawn stars for you to deal damage. Mr. Bright will spawn shooting stars while Mr. Shine will lock into Kirby's position and he will fire his laser. And once you defeat one of them, they will not change forms, and the defeated one will stay broken in the air. But overall, doing this boss damageless is very easy. So now we have World 4, Grape Garden, with a whopping 35 out of 60 achievements. Although sadly, with the exception of boss achievements, achievement gathering will start to slow down. But moving on to 4-1, we have some cloudy landscapes and the return of the UFO ability. And in this room where we have a very interesting ability, which we will not use until a specific time in this world, we also have the secret switch. And let me tell you something. Can you tell me what seems off about this block wall? 4-2, we go through a castle and we have to fight 2 Poppy Brothers Seniors at once. But as long as you prioritize one of them, you can use Crash for the other one and have a quick kill. 4-3 starts with a cannon, where you need fire, fireball, laser, or Crash to activate the fuse. And I believe Kirby's Adventure is the only time in the Kirby franchise where you can actually activate fuses with Crash. But I might be completely wrong since I haven't tested this fact with other games. But after igniting the fuse, take a round of the cannon and blast away to secret goods. And once we have fun with fire, we arrive at a very cool set piece, as we make our way through this blimp armada while we ride the wind. And in this room, we want to head to the rightmost part and enter this door for a very easy switch to miss. But yeah, I have to say that this is probably one of my favorite aesthetic levels in the whole game, just because of the cool concept. 4-4 has this grape tree, which is very fitting since this is Grape Garden. But once we get past the trees, we have another achievement, where we need to use wheel in order to outspeed this bomb block and collect a 1-up. This challenge is not hard as long as you don't hesitate and start turning the moment you drop to the next floor. And once you get to the end, make sure you get out of wheel form, otherwise you'll get stunned and the wall will block you. And once we grab the achievement, we now fight a rolling turtle, and I'm so happy that the Kirby Wiki calls it a turtle, which makes me feel vindicated, even though he will be an elephant in the remake, but whatever. This guy is probably the hardest of the mini bosses, but just like the other ones, take your time and you'll be golden, although we still need to encounter his most dangerous form. And once you take down this prototype Fan, we get the throw ability, which is a more useful version of backdrop. 4-5, we have another Meta Knights encounter, as well as a fun but deadly Gore room. And 4-6, we have another clock battle and another dark room, where we have a hidden door that if you know where it is, you can access it without the need of light and get access to the next button. So now we have the boss of World 4, which is the returning Krako. However, Krako is the first of 2 bosses in this game that has 2 achievements tied to them. Of course, we have the Damageless achievement, but for the second achievement, firstly, we head to the museum in this world in order to collect the Ball ability, which will give us the final copy ability achievement of the game. And with this ability, we need to reach Krako's top cloud without losing the ability and without floating. The way Ball works is every time you press the jump button when you touch the ground, Kirby will bounce higher and higher the more times you bounce off the ground. And an extra tip I can give you is to hold the jump button every time you see Kirby flash when you're about to hit the ground. So as you can see with this footage, mastering the Ball ability is not hard. What is hard, however, is the climb itself. Krako is the only fight in the game where you have a pre-fight as you need to reach the top while avoiding Krako Jr. and some Starman as you make your way up. And what makes this first section so annoying is the fact that this section has what I like to call Contra Syndrome, where the floor below you will disappear if you scroll the screen too much, causing you to die and fail the achievement. And at first, I thought that the Contra Syndrome would kill me the most, but then I realized that one regular jump followed by 2 ball bounces would get me to the next layer no problem, as long as I make sure to get out of ball form every time I reach a new layer. No, instead, the biggest annoyance of this stupid climb was Krako himself, because for some fucking reason, this stupid eyeball could just not stop tracking me, which is something I have never experienced every time I play this game. And the fact that a requirement of this achievement is to not lose the ability, which in other words translates to a damageless run, it makes getting hit by Krako unfairly annoying. Now, I guess I should mention that there is an interesting bug with the achievement where if you try to go for this achievement but get a game over, you may actually get the achievement by complete accident. And I do know about this because I actually got that achievement that way by complete accident when I first mastered this game on my personal account. However, for the sake of doing it the correct way, after multiple stumbles by this dumbass eyeball and almost 2 game overs, fuck you. Why did you bounce, Kirby? Fuck you. Stupid fucking cloud. The worst part about this point, climbing fast is that you do not know where he is. And that's honestly the worst part about this whole thing. Oh my god. So after getting the second game over, we go for the main achievement, that being the damageless one. The climb compared to what we had to do previously is incredibly easy. Just float, and when Krako starts to get near you, release the puff of air, and this will actually change Krako's AI and he will stop tracking you. Repeat the process until reaching the top, and then you can fight this stupid cloud. Krako has 2 attacks. He can cover the floor with lightning and do a swipe similar to the one he does in Dreamland 1. He will spawn Starman every once in a while, and the best time to attack him is when he does his 2 attacks since he gets lower, giving you a chance to hit him. And as for positioning, just like in Dreamland, stay on the opposite side of him and this fight will go down no problem. So once we finish this stupid cloud, we move on to the second half of the game with World 5, Yogurt Yard. 5-1 has a secret door on the starting area that gives you a well-earned 1-up. And once we start free falling, we go past the normal floor and go even deeper and head through a secret pathway for the secret button. 5-2, we go around a mountain while swimming in bleepy infested waters and get ballin' PTSD, and we also get to kill a monkey with a hammer. 5-3 has a very cool use of wheel, until it doesn't. Oh my god, how could you? But in this level, we also have a great showcase of Parasol as we float our way down in the spit of spikes to the end of the level, which I kind of wish that Parasol had more showcases like this, because this is actually pretty cool. 5-4, we have another Meta Knight's ambush, and as we go through this waterfall section, we see a not very suspicious looking black void, which to the surprise of no one is a secret door, which leads us to the next button. 5-5 has a switch right off the bat, and it features a really cool puzzle. Entering this door, you want to get high jump in order to destroy these blocks, and then switch to fire before the enemy goes off screen. After grabbing fire, ignite the fuse and blast into the switch. Besides that, at the end, we fight against the final new mid-boss of the game, the Fire Leon. Of course. Ah! Fireline, you scratch. It's super effective. 5-6 is a very interesting level, since this is the level that uses the wheel ability to the best. Unfortunately, we have a button in this level that requires hammer. Thankfully, the arena of this world has a bonkers, so once you defeat him, go slowly through the wheelie section and then maintain a stable course until you reach the switch. The boss of this world is the very intense Heavy Mole, and this boss is basically an auto-scroll, where Heavy Mole will make a path you need to follow, otherwise you'll get more squished than normal. Every couple of seconds, Heavy Mole will shoot these torpedoes that will give you the hammer ability or the sleep ability if you get the right ones, which honestly, that is really funny, and I kind of wish I actually discovered that before actually researching for the script. And basically, the best way to deal with this boss damageless and with no abilities is to shoot back the missiles as soon as they spawn, because the more you drag this fight, the more difficult it gets, mainly because of Heavy Mole's sporadic moves. Not to mention that sometimes this level has the Contra Syndrome issue I had with Krakow. So now we have World 6, Orange Ocean, and while I was researching for this script, I realized that every level in this world has a switch. 6-1 has the interesting encounter of fighting a turtle underwater. Besides that, I had to return with hammer so that I could destroy this block and get the switch. 6-2 has another switch that requires hammer, or stone, where we have some ambush scarfies and nukes falling from below. 6-3 is another cool level as we get to explore a pirate ship. Inside the deck, we have a bonkers encounter, and we can grab the hammer, where we can destroy this box and detonate this bomb block to flood the inside. But you may think that that's all that is in here. But if you press up where the bomb block was, you can head into a secret area where we have to go through this door and get the laser ability, and then go back into this door and shoot the fuse to blast ourselves from the cannon and reach the button. Very cool puzzle, and it's probably my favorite switch in the game. 6-4 has probably one of the dumbest secret buttons in the game. So basically, you want to play along up to this point, and then, this hole looks suspicious. Yeah, I don't get it. Besides that cryptic secret, this is what I like to call the nut level for having so many goddamn nuts. 6-5 begins with an icy tundra where we hear my favorite theme in this game. But as we climb the structure, we arrive at what is in my opinion the hardest secret button of the game. The process of getting the button is simple. Just ignite the fuse and ride the cannon. But because of the lag and input delay, getting hit and stalling is going to make getting to the cannon a complete bitch. At the very least, by unlocking the way to the cannon, we finally managed to get 1,000 points and get an achievement that honestly scared me after losing a lot of points thanks to the 2 game overs I suffered with Krakow. Yeah, I forgot the fastest way to actually do this. Okay. Oh! Wow. Frame perfect. Finally, we have 6-6, which you can get to the switch right from the start, where you need to use either fire or fireball in order to get past these blocks. However, because of the stupid Waddle Dee, I lost my chance to get the switch. But then I remember what came after. That beautiful lag. And oh wait! The door's still there. Therefore, I can use UF. Yeah, it's not gonna. Yeah, I'm not gonna give that. Oh my god. Oh my god, oh wow, they're actually invincible? I did not know that. Stupid. Alright. So yeah, with UFO, a charged shot will destroy the thing. And we can get the switch. Nice! Once we hit the switch, we have a fork in the road, where the top path where you need to fight 2 Poppy Brothers Seniors and have a hyper section, or the bottom path with 2 Mr. Frosties and an underwater section. But whatever path you take, you'll end up with the 2 paths converging and head into the final room, which has the final Meta Knights encounter, which leads very fittingly with the boss. The boss of this world is the masked Meta Knight, and this fight is very unique, as Meta Knight values honor and will give you a sword before starting the duel, only for me to float in the air until he does jumps that leave him stunned in order to do the damages achievement. It is incredibly easy, and the hardest part is trying to get close and do the air attack, because the air attack has very short range. And so we arrive at the final world of the game, Rainbow Resort, where King Dedede is waiting for us at the end in the Fountain of Dreams. 7-1, we have fun with angles and have to do some ability combos in order to reach this top door and get the next switch. 7-2 is a very unique level, as this is the Battle Tower, where we have to fight every mid-boss of the game back to back. And just like the bosses, here we have a damageless and no ability achievement. Poppy Brothers, Mr. Frosty, and Clockman are very easy. Bonkers can be hard, but as long as you jump out of the way, you're golden. Turtleman and Bugsy are the trickiest ones just because of the fact that they can be very fast on their attacks, but as long as you keep your distance, they're not that bad. And finally, we got the Fire Leon, which is also very easy. Who's calling me, damn it? Oh. And there we go. And once you clear out the tower, we want to re-enter it, but from a different door. So right where the door is, you want to go above it, and then we shall enter a secret room that basically has the same challenge, except that now we have to fight harder versions of the mid-bosses. And we actually need to do this because there is an achievement tied to beating this. And oh my god, I remember this thing. But yeah, right here we got the red turtle. And this thing is, yeah, as you can see, this thing is incredibly fast. But thankfully, we managed to do it, no damage. Yeah, trying to fight that thing without using copy abilities is a pain in the ass. And we got the black bug. Ow. No bugs for you. No suplex for you, buddy. So yeah, we basically need to fight four mid-bosses. However, once you beat all of them, we get our ultimate reward, which is 5 1-ups. 7-3 features the worst room in the game with these stupid angles and stupid eyes and stupid Bronto birds that follow you to your death. But besides that, we get the final instance of hyper mode in the game. 7-4 has a cool rainbow room concept, as well as more dumb deaths thanks to the spark enemies. 7-5 starts with a bunch of nukes, and you may notice that I'm now fighting with a Grand Willy without using Crash. And that's because we need Crash for an achievement in this level. Unfortunately, after defeating the Grand Willy, I had to go through this obnoxious room. Oh, you son of a bitch. Okay, fine. This game sucks. Motherfucker. Why are the two most annoying enemies in the same goddamn room? Oh my god, I hate this stupid game. But after finally making it to the final room of the level with Crash, we use it in order to activate this fuse, and then ride the cannon for a secret area that will give us an achievement. Normally, in order to get this secret, you use Fireball and then push the B button at the right time so you can go through these tight holes and make it through the cannon. But because the button presses need to be precise in a game famous for input delay, Crash is the easiest option to get this secret. Finally, we have 7-6, which is an homage to Kirby's Dream Land, featuring a best-of sorts of every level from the Game Boy Classic. We have Green Greens, Castle Lololo, Float Islands, and Bubbly Clouds, all accompanied by the classic Green Greens music, and the level and even UI being in black and white, which is a neat touch, and I also love that Kirby is the only colored character in this entire stage. And once we get to the end of the Bubbly Clouds section, if you remember from that game, if we fly to the moon, we'll end up in a secret area, where we can find the final button of the game. So once we finish the last level of the game, we have the final boss, King Dedede, where we once again have a damageless achievement against this fat bird. However, similar to Krakow, we have a second achievement, where we need to defeat the king damageless while using the hammer ability. Starting off with the no abilities achievement, this fight is basically identical to the Game Boy fight, where Dedede has the same movement. The new to this fight is turning into a balloon and start chasing you around, which you can easily manipulate to your benefit. And similar to the Game Boy fight, he will only spawn stars by doing the super jump or hammer attack, although the hammer jump also spawns stars this time. And just like the Game Boy fight, this fight is an endurance and patience test, as you need to hope that Dedede behaves so that he spawns a lot of stars and you can deal the coup de grace to this fat king. Okay, one more. And boom! Emperor of Dreamland. And there we go. Now, even though we beat King Dedede, we now begin level 8, the Fountain of Dreams. And as Kirby makes his way to restore the fountain's dream energy, Dedede is trying to stop you. But after not listening and placing the Star Rod, we discover our mistake. After Kirby places the Star Rod, we unleash a terrible entity known as Nightmare. And in order to confront it, Dedede spits us alongside the Star Rod into the night sky to confront this evil enemy. Starting with phase 1, we have a shoot 'em up section with the Nightmare Orb, as we need to avoid his star projectiles and his drastic movements. Now, because we have a damageless achievement for this fight, we not only need to avoid his attacks, but we also need to be fast, as this fight is on a timer, because if you take too long, the Nightmare Orb will fly away and the ground will kill you without escape. This fight is overall not that hard, although when the orb reaches half health, this particular attack, which is very easy to avoid as long as you stay in the middle, will become dangerous as it will now hone in on you. But there's a very easy way to avoid it. Just go to the top corner, and as soon as the stars are thrown, tap down on the D-pad once and you'll avoid it 100% of the time. But once we defeat phase 1, we chase it to the moon and face off against the true form of the Nightmare, Waluigi, or the Nightmare Wizard. This fight is a great spectacle and easily the best fight of the game. And for this fight, you need to shoot stars into his energy vortex? I have no idea what this is. Every time he does an attack. And this phase can be very difficult if you don't anticipate his attacks. But thankfully, his order of attacks for the most part is consistent. He'll start with raining stars from above, then drop and shoot stars, followed by a tornado move, a sweep, and finally he'll prepare for a massive attack and then unleash it. When doing this fight damageless, I highly recommend you stay exclusively on either corner, as he tends to miss when doing specific attacks. Although when he does the high attack, stay almost below him in order to avoid his stars, and for the charge attack, get behind him. Now, despite all the strategies I mentioned, the one thing that is very annoying about this fight is that if you manage to beat phase 1 flawlessly, but get hit during phase 2, you lose the damageless achievement, since dying on phase 2 will place you back at the beginning of said phase. And this means that in order to get the damageless achievement, you not only have to redo phase 1, but you also have to refight Dedede in order to have another attempt. Thankfully, in all of my retries, I managed to finally get the hammer achievement against Dedede after a lot of annoying attempts because I don't like playing this game with abilities, if I'm being completely honest. But as long as you take your time against Nightmare Phase 2, you'll manage to get him eventually. Yeah, I'm not gonna even bother. Wow, all of them at the goddamn corner. You gotta love it. Yeah, I'm gonna play this more safer. And by more safer, I mean I'm gonna start moving, because usually I would just stay still. Whatever. Nightmare's attacks are consistent, or the order of his attacks is consistent. Well, selectively. Oh, way worse attack than the last one. And there we go. Sleep well, you son of a bitch. See you in the anime, I guess. Oh my god. Okay, so it turns out that Nightmare invaded the fountain and wanted to use the Star Rod to make eternal nightmares. But Dedede destroyed the Star Rod and sealed the Nightmare in the fountain, which comes to show if it's not about food, Dedede can be a pretty chill guy. And with Nightmare defeated and the Star Rod returned to the fountain, dreams can finally return to Dreamland. So that does it for the main game. And because we got 100% in the main game, we got ourselves an achievement, but also unlocked extra game, as well as the versus boss sub-game. The former being a tougher version of the main game, and the latter being a boss rush. But before we tackle those modes, it's time to gamble our sanity away, as we have 3 achievements related to the minigames we've been playing throughout the main game. However, these achievements require you to get a perfect score on their hardest difficulties. Starting with Crane Fever, we need to get 2 Fat Kirbys in the hole, where the crane moves incredibly fast and timing the position of it feels like a coin drop, because I swear that this stupid crane has either ice physics or stops the moment you let go of the A button. It is incredibly inconsistent, and it is by far the worst part about the timings of the crane. But despite those issues, aligning the crane with the Fat Kirbys was really not that bad, to the point that I can consistently get the time down. So I have to ask, why did this achievement took me an hour and 26 minutes to get? Well, my dear viewer, the reason why is because even though you position the crane on the perfect spot for it to grab the Fat Kirby, you may notice that most of the time, the game will just drop the Kirby either the frame it starts moving back, or it will drop it as it makes its way to the hole. Or sometimes it will carry it all the way with no problem. Well, that is because the probability of getting any Kirby into the hole is predetermined as soon as you start the fucking minigame. This means that even with save states, it doesn't matter if you load back after a Kirby drops from the crane. Since the Kirby is guaranteed to drop after the grab, using save states, it's practically worthless. This system is so unfair and bullshit that I am so glad they did not bring this minigame back to the remake in the GBA. But at the same time, I am dreading the fact that we have to get a perfect again when we eventually get 3DS supports on RetroAchievements because of the 3D Classics version. Not to mention that we also have the Wii version thanks to the Kirby's Dream Collection, which, oh my god, please, I beg of you, do not do this. So, with all my bitching about this minigame, is there really a strategy for getting the Fat Kirbys? You may find it shocking, but yes, there is. When you start the game, a small and fat Kirby will drop into the pile, each one having a chance to land at the left, center, or right side of the screen, giving you 6 different patterns in total. And after you manage to get whatever Kirby you desire, the next Kirby will drop into the location that was empty at the start. With that said, the most important Kirby spawn you want to keep in mind is the small Kirby, as you want him to drop on the right side of the screen. The reason for this is if the fat Kirby is in the rightmost side, getting it is almost impossible. So in order to make your life easier, keep resetting the minigame until you have the small Kirby going to the right. After that, have freaking fun, as you now have to play a game of chance. What is the chance that the fat Kirby in the center will let go once you get the Kirby on the left? In every single one of my attempts, I've been able to get the left Kirby first with a 90 to 95% success rate after grabbing the Kirby. While with the middle Kirby, I've had a success rate of 0%. Now there has been 2 instances where I was able to get the middle fat Kirby first, only to mess up both Kirbys because this crane is fucking bullshit. But after an hour and 26 minutes of hoping for the fat Kirby to stay on the goddamn crane, which honestly, I'm surprised it took me less than my original mastery. You know, with the Kirbys on the side, with the Kirby artworks on the side, I should have done an evil Kirby, you know, with the evil wolf eyes. Because that would be very fitting for this part of the mastery. It's not gonna grab. Oh, it is gonna grab. Wow. But it's gonna drop frame 1. Or it's gonna give it to me now. Oh my god. We got it. So, with that bullshit done, it's now time for the other 2 minigames. Thankfully though, these are more simple and much easier. The next minigame is Quick Draw, where we have to rely with input delays on a game that requires fast reaction. And considering that Bonkers reacts in 12 frames, which by the way, that was the reaction from DDD on easy mode, this minigame, if played on actual hardware, is considered as impossible. However, we can make this achievement a breeze by using our powers of frame manipulation in order to have a chance at these delayed reaction games. And yes, I know, some people may call me out for cheating and using exploits to get the achievements, but my philosophy with these kinds of achievements, if the game bullshits you, then I have no problem in bullshitting the game in return. So after we become the fastest and cheapest Poyo in the West, we move on to Egg Catcher, which is by far the easiest of the minigames. And it's all thanks to the fact that the egg and bomb pattern is predetermined. Thanks to the user Fig Newton on RetroAchievements for figuring out the egg pattern and when to press the A button to open Kirby's mouth, which after a couple of attempts, because I am very bad at this kind of timing stuff, we managed to get it no problem. Perfect! And there we go. See, it was not that bad. And now we have the last bonus game, which is the boss rush, where we have to beat all main bosses back to back with no healing whatsoever. And this mode may sound scary, but because we can use copy abilities, except for Mike due to a glitch that will invalidate the achievement, this one is really not that hard. It also helps that if you manage to get the damageless achievements, this becomes even easier. There we go. See, it wasn't that bad. And there we go. Boss Endurance. So, with the bonus games done, we now have one more achievement, where we need to beat Extra Game. And unlike Extra Game from Kirby's Dream Land, where we have different enemies and faster boss movement, which is pretty dumb in some cases, this Extra Game plays basically the exact same as the main game, with two big changes. The first one being that you now have 3 hit points instead of 6. And the second change is that you now can't save, meaning that you have to beat all of Extra Game in one session. This may sound daunting, but thankfully you can skip secrets like the switches and all that, and getting a game over will not you back to the title screen. Oh, nice. I don't know why I'm saying nice, because I already got the damageless achievement. Oh, well, there you go. There you go. We failed. And now I'm gonna freaking die. Alright, there we go. And there it is. My headset just fell off. Oh god. And there it is. Star Warrior and time. In terms of quality, I'm giving this game an 8 out of 10. It feels very weird that we don't have a damageless achievement for all arena battles, but besides that, I do love the bonus achievements for certain bosses, as well as reaching secret areas in World 7, like the cannon in 7.5, and being the hard version of the battle tower. Now the reason it's an 8 is because of the crane and nightmare achievements. If they change the achievements where you have to grab a fat and small Kirby and split both faces into their own achievements, which is actually something they did for the GBA version, and we got arena battle achievements for the other bosses, I would have given this a 10 actually. But as it stands right now, an 8 is not bad by any means, but it shows that it does have some problems and some tweaks that could be fixed. For difficulty, I'll give it an 8. If the crane achievement was changed, this would have been a 7. Although we still have some tough achievements like the battle tower damageless, reaching the cannon in 7.5, and the Crackle Ball achievement. But because of the lag and input delay that this game suffers, it does up the difficulty by around 1 to 2 points, because again, it's not an NES game without some NES jank. That said, coming back to this game, I knew that Cream Fever was going to be a bitch, but despite that, it was a pleasant time to revisit this game, and I'll give it a 7 out of 10 in terms of fun. And as for the hardest achievement, I was originally gonna go with Free Plushie for getting a perfect in Crane Fever, but after some thought, I will not give it the award, since the timing of the crane is not hard, but you basically have to rely on RNG, to the point that if I was giving an award for the worst achievement of a set, this would easily win. So instead, because of the annoying tracking of Kracko and the bullshit Contra syndrome that at first can be daunting, but after learning the pattern is really not that bad, I'm giving Cloud Climber for reaching the highest cloud of the Kracko fight using only the ball ability without losing it the award for being the hardest achievement in Kirby's Adventures RetroAchievements set. It's no secret at this point that I don't like Kirby's Adventure, or to be more specific, the original version of Adventure, which applies to the Virtual Console and Kirby's Dream Collection versions as well. The amount of lag caused by certain enemies, the annoyance of input delays or inputs not reading when I press the button, makes this game almost unplayable. If I'm going back to this game, I'm either playing the 3D Classics version on the 3DS, which fixes basically every complaint I have about the controls and performance, or the GBA remake Nightmare in Dreamland, which gives the original a new coat of paint and adds new content like Extra Game being a sort of New Game Plus. Big thanks to Scootaloo, PGJ 1997, and Numstuff for making this set. And now that I'm finally done with this game, I now have to pray to every demonic entity of this franchise that we do not have a repeated perfect Crane game on the 3DS version and Dream Collection. Otherwise, you would find me in the insane asylum trying my best to keep my sanity. Thanks for watching this RetroAchievements Mastery video for Kirby's Adventure. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, and if you want to see more RetroAchievement Masteries, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified on future Masteries. For our next game, we return to the Nintendo 64 and master a game I was originally going to master last year, but delayed it, I want to say 3 times, due to time and the game having one of the worst achievements I've ever gotten in my entire life. And that is GoldenEye 007. And the reason I'm dreading this is that out of the 144 sets I've mastered by the time I'm recording this part of the script, there has never been another main set where you need to perform a glitch in order to master it. And trust me, there will be rage when we get to that point. Although, I will try myself not to sound very confrontational, and I will try to keep my cool as much as I can. But with that said, thank you all for watching this video. I'm Jonathan Wolf, and I will see you all in my next Retro Achievement Mastery. Later, Retro Achievers, and take it easy.